Fujifilm sent me their brand new GFX-100 II and 55mm f1.7 for me to use over the last month for any of my paid work, as well as some leisure and hobby things, travel photography, street photography, etc. And here are my thoughts. As always, these thoughts are mine. Fujifilm wasn't able to review them. And for those of you that are gonna say I am a Fujifilm shill, the only thing I have to say to you is, okay. Cool. With all that out of the way, we can begin. And as always, I'm sorry, there's not going to be B-roll of this camera. If you want to look at images of the camera, just Google them online. Nothing I show you is going to be any different. And for me, photography is not a beauty pageant. I wrote all of my thoughts down here on my iPad for the simple reason of there's a lot to go over. I use this camera a lot in a lot of different situations. And I wanted to make sure I told you what the perspective is of someone that is using it for work, not just someone that had it for 7 days, 10 days, 5 days, and then returned it from whoever they purchased it from, or I had to send it back. The GFX-100 II is their new 102 megapixel digital medium format camera. It has a nicer, sleeker body in my opinion, and it has the ability, of course, to add on an additional tilt EVF. It had 3 great, fantastic function buttons between the LCD top screen, as well as the actual shutter button. I mapped these to ISO, subject detection, and IAF. It made things super simple and easy. Everything was right where I needed it to be. They sent the GFX-100 II along with their 55mm 1.7, and this lens was specifically designed for this camera, for this sensor. The 55mm focal length seems like a weird one. It's about a 45mm field of view and may have a lot of people scratching their heads, but Fujifilm told us whenever we were shown this camera before September 12th, the reason for it, which is the fact that it would perfectly and optimally cover the sensor, and they were going for something that rendered a nice, dreamy, a character look is the way that they put it, and it does. Shot wide open, it has a nice character look. It has a lot of the things that you look for when it comes to a character lens and a dreamy bokeh-ish lens. But for me personally, I shot this lens a lot of times stopped down at 4 to 5.6, and the good news is once this lens gets stopped down, it is optically amazing. It wasn't built to be optically sharp throughout the whole range, but it is more than sharp enough, and of course, more than able to handle this new sensor. This lens is not a linear motor lens. However, partnered with the GFX-100 II, this pairing did fantastic. The new GFX autofocus system is the bee's knees compared to anything else from medium format, number one. It's got these same, if I'm correct, which I'm pretty sure I am, AI algorithms built into it for the new processor that are from the XH line of cameras like the XH2S. Don't think you're going to get Sony or Canon or XH2S performance out of this camera, but I will say that it is a huge step for medium format, and you're actually getting performance similar to that you would out of an XH1. For those of you that shoot Fujifilm, you'll understand how that's comparable. For those that shoot Sony, I would say it handles somewhat like a Sony a6000. This camera can shoot up to 8 frames per second in stills mode, and the 55mm 1.7 does a good job of focusing in between every single one of those frames until the buffer fills up, of course. This is equipped with an SD card and a CF Express Type B card, which is the reason for the faster read-write speed as well as the reliability in read-write speed. That's also going to open you up to better video recording options. I'm not going to get into all the options that you can go through, and I did not test them for the simple reason of I didn't use them. I shot this thing using their F-Log2. I shot it at 4K 24 frames per second, and it was fantastic. The talking head videos that I took, and even just the B-roll that I took, it focused very, very well. Now, this is where it did have some issues, and I'll let D from an actual event tell you a little bit more about this and what my experience was using it in a low light, a legit low light situation. It is September 23rd here in Austin, Texas. I am here working an event, and I'll be working about 4 or 5 events with the camera that's on my hip, and it's the GFX-100 II. To start off with, let me just say the eye autofocus is fantastic. The tracking has been really good in video, and I'm really excited to see what this video looks like. But really good just so far tracking in video. Subjects are static or just moving very slowly, but it kind of has exceeded my expectation in that regard. Eye autofocus picked up very, very quickly, especially in low light when shooting a couple portraits that I intentionally underexposed to show you what it looks like, and I'll show them now. whenever you bring them to proper exposure. So far so good. So far the GFX 100 II is doing very, very well. The colors coming out of it, of course, are great. The image quality when taking photos is fantastic. Autofocus during stills has been flawless. During video though, which is what Fujifilm was touting, at least whenever I saw the initial announcement and as well as what I was told behind closed doors, it does have some issues that I would be kind of wrong for not bringing up. First off, when it's on, it's on. It's sticky when someone's moving on. When it's got one subject, it's doing fantastic. For talking head and things like this, I can see that it's going to be great. When using subjects as foreground and someone's in your midground, it's going to be great. The issue that I'm having though is when there's multiple heads to be detected. Sometimes it jumps from left to right. If it's someone that is brighter lit than someone else, even if it's in your focus area, it's going to jump to them, which can sometimes cause some issues. Of course, for those of you that are working in more dynamic situations, it's not to the level of the XH2S, the XH2, or even to Nikon, to a Canon or Sony, but it is a huge improvement. Basically what I did was I just made sure to mark, if that makes sense, my territory, and before I start, make sure that it's pre-focused, and then I would just press record. Now, if you're running and gunning, this may be an issue, but more times than not, I was still able to get the shot that I needed. So again, the 55mm 1.7 is not a linear motor lens, but if you pair this with a linear motor lens from Fujifilm's GFX system, the GF lenses, like the 50mm 3.5, I could see you having even better results in focusing. I didn't have an issue in low light, which I shot it in quite a bit. I didn't have an issue with backlighting, which I had a few shots in, and I definitely didn't have any issues just whenever it comes to focusing in general. There were some hiccups which were to be expected from my perspective whenever it comes to a medium format camera and just where the system's at right now. And if you're a wedding photographer, which a lot of people that shoot GFX happen to be wedding photographers and may rely on that IAF, you're going to love this. And if you're a videographer, you're definitely going to love this because it can more than handle its own on subjects for static talking head, as well as for someone walking towards you at a slow pace, let's say walking down an aisle. This camera's going to do just fine. So at a low light event, this camera worked fantastic and the lens worked fantastic. The only issues I had, of course, are whenever there's multiple subjects in the frame, it did have an issue with trying to decide who to stick on, and it hunted. If I tried to direct it with a D-pad, it did not move over smoothly to the person I wanted to. It just stuck on the eye that it had already gotten to. So pulling was a little bit different in a couple situations, but if I was pulling focus using the touchscreen between a subject and an item, that was a lot easier. But the video looked fantastic and you can see it right now. I'm actually going to play a video at this moment to show you what it looked like. All the footage was captured on the GFX 100 II and the 55mm 1.7. This is an interview of my friend Paris at a Coffee for All event, on assignment for the Color of Coffee Collective. Enjoy.
Stuff like that. My name is Paris Uch. I'm a barista. I've been a barista for probably 2.5 years now, but I've been a coffee enthusiast for a few years longer. These Coffee for All events have been, for me personally, really valuable because coffee is something I really care about. And when I was first trying to figure out how to, understand coffee more and more, I found that the most accessible ways for coffee cuppings, right? Which are just tasting coffee, but beyond that, usually there's a price tag associated with that. When I first heard about Coffee for All events, it was perfect. It was perfect for me, perfect for someone with me on a barista's salary. I got into baristaing just so I could learn more about coffee. The accessibility is really awesome. That's provides a lot of value for people like me or people who are interested in coffee or want to get into coffee to just get their foot in the door and really explore the world of specialty coffee, because really it's super amazing. It's made me appreciate coffee a lot more, because really they talk about seed to cup, and it's this journey from the farmer to the importers, exporters, and then the roasters, and then finally the person who's brewing that cup of coffee, whether you're in a shop or whether it's for yourself. It really makes you appreciate all that stuff each time you make a cup of coffee or you buy a cup of coffee or just buy whole beans from the store. There's a real story to each bag of coffee, each cup of coffee. And coming to these, learning about the whole process, kind of the whole supply chain, really makes you appreciate and value that cup of coffee. And it just makes that experience of drinking it much greater. I think sort of my long-term goals, and which this has really inspired me to pursue that, is to have maybe like a shop one day, or a little small roasting operation that I can grow, and just be more immersed in coffee, because really I think it's an amazing thing. It brings people together, right? It's not always just about the coffee, right? The coffee is there, it brings people together, it is a centerpiece for conversation, but from there, that's the catalyst to other conversations and just bringing people together, which I think is amazing. You really learn a lot of stuff coming to these Coffee for All events, and it's just all for free, which is, it's amazing, honestly. Like, I want to cry, it's amazing.
So I also decided to take this with me to a sporting event. So I was on assignment covering Austin FC versus LA Galaxy, which was a nice event. I'm showing some of the pictures right now. This is just for me to be able to have a cue to show the pictures. And the autofocus and the little bit that I got to use it actually worked really, really good. Again, learning that people, even at a slow jog coming towards you, autofocus does a really good job of capturing. So I'll shut up and show you the footage from that game, and it was a doozy. And here you go. Hey guys, D here, and I am here at Austin FC versus LA Galaxy with the GFX 100 sent out by Fujifilm. I want to give you guys a perspective on how this thing performs, not off a spec sheet, not off of a controlled environment, but using it day by day for all of my work assignments over the next month. So thank you to Fujifilm for letting me use this. We're going to put this thing through its paces. Will it actually perform the way they say it will, or is just more marketing bent on getting you to purchase more things? Let's find out. So I got rained out. Very disappointing. But I still got to try it out a little bit. Still look nice in low light. Here's some more of the images from being in the back rooms, getting to hang out with some of the players and just be around them, hanging out with other photogs, excuse me. How's the pluckers?
It's just as mid as I remember it.
Oh yeah. We tested the weather resistance, and that was weather resistible. And good times, but I tried it, you guys. It just wasn't successful in the attempt. So before we go further, I want to talk about two things when it comes to the medium format look. Number one is the issue with attributing the medium format look only to bokeh. You guys, bokeh isn't everything. Background separation isn't everything. And to be honest with you, the same way that so many people, when they're comparing medium format to full frame, go out of their way to make sure that they can make full frame and medium format match, that can be done with full frame and APS-C, APS-C and Micro Four Thirds. And so I wish we would stop moving the goalposts. I get it that a lot of people are very sensitive about full frame because they've spent a lot of time gatekeeping APS-C and Micro Four Thirds shooters by telling them they're unprofessional because this has a larger frame, better background separation, the creamy bokeh, blah, 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 better lenses. And then when medium format comes out and it's affordable and people are able to access it and it has a better image with better clarity and of course better compression and better background blur and faster with fast speed lenses, it offends some people and it hurts their feelings. Let's get over that. For those of you that continue to bring up bokeh every time whenever it comes to medium format versus full frame or full frame versus APS-C, just know that people are starting to see through it. We understand that you don't take photos of people, places, and things and they're your subject. You take photos of people, places, and things so your subject can be the background blur. That's your crutch. Learn to shoot stop down. Let's get over this. The second thing I want to address is what is the actual medium format look? Very simple, I alluded to it earlier. It's just at wide angles, you have really good compression. It doesn't matter if it's stopped down or shot wide open, you just have really good compression. I'm gonna put a couple of images up here of a couple of portraits of my boy Joe. It's Joe Bruh, AKA Joe Jimenez, and my boy Leica Lee De Leon. These images are something that at 45mm field of view on full frame, it couldn't capture an image that looks like this. Period. And the only reason isn't because the field of view, it's not because the camera's better, it's just because of physics. It's because of actual science. That background is compressed into the subject a little bit more, and it makes it look larger than life, kind of. To some people, it may not matter. Honestly, to a lot of your clients, they probably won't care. Photographers are the only ones that dissect all these things, but that is the real medium format look. The ability to at wider angles have compression like if you were using a standard telephoto lens. And so let's just move on from that. So I attended a photo walk in San Antonio, Texas, held by Digital Pro Lab. Shout out to Courtney Warden from Digital Pro Lab for putting that on. And the event was fantastic. We just got to meet up with some people, got to just walk with them, maybe answer some questions, and it was mostly just chit-chatting. And I shot some photos, of course, in the GFX and lower light in that too. Autofocus worked great, didn't really have to worry about it. These images are just meh, nothing really to them, mostly just portraits, but this will let you see some of the bokeh whenever shooting wide open. But beyond that, one of the best things that came out of it was I got to meet up with someone named Anthony. He is the owner of Archangel Tattoo shop here in San Antonio, Texas. 28 years, same location, same phone number, same guy tattooing, and he's a fantastic artist. And he actually invited me to go and sit down with him at his tattoo shop, which I did, and just to discuss some things, just to discuss why he's into it, what got him into it, how long he's been practicing, the fact that him and his son are both tattooing together now. And I got to take some of these portraits, and I love these. I'm actually going to be looking at printing one of these for him. A very cool man, the nicest man ever, covered in all these tattoos, full bodysuit. This guy is super duper dope. I can't wait to share more from my time that I'm going to be spending with him. He's invited me back and I'm super duper gracious, but Archangel Tattoo, man, it's super badass. The guy is amazing, and I got to take some great photos. And one of the things is the medium format look really stands out in here to me, just whenever it comes to layering. Listen, but these images can be replicated with any camera, and I don't want to blow smoke up everyone's ass. Listen, for a lot of situations, you're not able to really to tell the difference in cameras, in systems, in sensor size, and so keep that in mind when looking at these. Don't just look at them and say, wow, it's medium format, it looks better. You may be able to tell a difference, but you have to decide for yourself. Is a difference worth the price tag? Okay, so now we are in San Francisco, California. I got to spend a weekend there, which was fantastic. One of the best cities I've ever been to, on some networking and planning type stuff. And I got to meet a whole bunch of fantastic people, as well as see a couple of familiar faces and friends. So it was a great time. Me and my boy Leica Lee actually went out there, and we spent some time on one of the days just walking around in the morning before we had to go and chit chat and mingle with some friends and do some networking stuff.
So using the GFX 100 II, I haven't really talked about it much, but they have a new film simulation, Realia, and it's really good. At first, my first initial impression was it's something that's maybe better suited if you're not a Provia fan, especially for something like dock work. Colors remind me very Canon-esque, getting out of the camera to where it's very warm and natural, if that makes sense. Not so much that it's a oversaturated of any sort of type of color, but it's just very natural looking to the eye. It's very real. But using it right now while shooting at golden hour in the morning here in San Francisco in the Bay, getting a little bit better grasp of what it is. The blues are very blue, the colors are very nice and warm, well toned, and it's going to be one of those good to go straight out of camera.
We went down to, I think it's the something's Pier, Fisherman's Wharf or something like that in San Francisco. I got to see my first ever Polar Bear Skinny Dipping Club. For those of y'all who don't know what a Polar Bear Club is, Polar Bear Club are those that jump in the Pacific Ocean whenever it's cold early in the morning. Just jump in there, and skinny dipping means skinny dipping, and these guys were skinny dipping.
We were able to capture the skinny dipping triathlon. They actually started all the way out over there at, I guess over there at that pier, and came all the way over here and skinny dipped, and then they're taking a couple laps around everything. So good to capture that. If you want to capture ass, GFX is the camera to do it.
It was a group of adults just jumping in there, and the craziest thing is there were about 6 guys that came out and ran a lap around the area where the stairs were, and it was just dongs out, baby. Just dongs out. Just didn't even care. I mean, the cold was hidden, the shrivel was there, and there they were running without a care. Dongs out, baby. It was fantastic that morning, and we went just go hang out, do some networking stuff, like I said, relax. Then we took a photo walk.
I'm here with Monster De Leon. What's up?
bring the GFX with me during that time because that mug was heavy as hell, and I was more worried about getting me some Tums because I ate a shit ton of food than anything else.
We did it, America. It's my dog right there hitting that kickflip. Oh, stay in there, man. Stay in there, man. Yeah, you got the right of way. Hey, there's my dog getting the whole Hohen State Bridge. This was a bummer. God, Lee, you look like you're 18 to keep it legal now. Don't be traveling with a 12-year-old. These your homies, my boy? We're on our way now from Nob Hill, overlooking the Golden State Bridge back there, to the little windy road on Lombard Street. Lee, any first thoughts on that GFX, man?
It's gorgeous. Image files are dense. I've never been able to crop in that much, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, definitely not something I would need in my kit. I'm all about using something super small and compact-ish. It's gorgeous though. If you can afford it, if you want it, go buy it.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yesterday we walked 10 miles. Today we're on mile 1.5. Still got a few more to go. We're actually taking a 1.5 hour walk, courtesy of Leica San Francisco this afternoon. And so the calves are going to be immaculate by the time we're done.
We were able to go out and attended an event held by the Cameras and Coffee Club in the Bay Area. And I got to see some familiar faces, meet some new people. I got to hand the GFX 100 II for people to use during that time. A few people who not only shoot GFX professionally for their paid work were able to give me their opinion compared against their GFX that they had in hand, but also some familiar faces that you know off YouTube. And of course, someone that I really enjoyed spending some time with, Brandon Ruffin, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Literally met him by chance. It was a good link up, but these guys were amazing. Their event was built on the idea of just starting community with cameras, making community accessible, and having a no pressure place for people to come and just start enjoying photography, start asking questions, and being able to share their work on these photo walks. Great guys. So I got to link up with its Joe bro there. Anyway, just watch the video and you'll see some people and their thoughts on the GFX.
Hey, don't send that Fujifilm, bro.
I feel like it's faster than the 100S. Yeah. I think the 100S was like barely not at the autofocus performance that I would use it for a professional like event. But I think the type of clients that I do for like pro events and weddings, the cost difference to, is it $7,500?
$7,500 for the body, and I think another 3 or 4 for the lens.
XT5. The XT5, I can do everything.
Exactly.
I don't know. If I did portraits, if I did commercial portraits, I could understand. But then at that point, it's the speed difference is.
Yeah. Well, and that's a non-LM. That's why I'm saying the 53.5 I feel like is a better buy, because that's a non-LM, so you're still not going to get that speed.
Yeah. Do they have LM?
Yeah, they've got 4. Oh. But they're like expensive, or the pancake.
So we got a comparison test right now.
Okay.
Between the 50S, this is like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And this is like what, 12 days old?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a difference.
Yeah.
I could shoot puddles with this.
Yeah.
Could probably shoot people with this.
Yeah.
And I shot one wedding with the GFX 100S, and it was like, it was not usable for anything past the evening.
Yeah.
I still don't think I would use this in a night reception though. I would have to try it out.
Yeah.
But I think from how snappy the autofocus is definitely a noticeable performance, or like a difference.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like though, like the XH2S and the XT5 are finally at a point where the autofocus is usable. I don't think I would go back just for like the depth of field.
I got you.
At that point, I'd probably adapt the lens and just do manual focus from like a speed booster.
So this event was fantastic, man. We literally got to walk all through San Francisco. We started off in Oakland, took the ferry over to the San Francisco side. We had some lunch. We walked through downtown San Francisco. We walked through Chinatown, and we ended up at Leica Store San Francisco.
So this is your stomping ground?
Yeah, this is my dojo here.
Okay.
The Ken Mojo Dojo house.
There it is, man. Golly.
RB Dreamlight land. There's no genders here.
Me, it's Joe Bruh, my boy Michael, and Leica Lee went over to go eat, which was fantastic. I had some good katsu. And then we went to our Airbnb where Michael had to go home. And Joe decided to take me and Leica Lee to Ocean Beach in San Francisco, where I was able to capture some of these images. During this time, I was able to ask Joe, what his experience was with it. I let him shoot with it, and he took some fantastic images. But one thing I like about Joe is that he's not rushing to take a photo. He's not going to take it if he doesn't feel it. And if he misses it, he misses it. And his ability to just move on was fantastic. I just really enjoyed talking to him. One of the nicest people I've ever met. A lot of good people are living in the Bay Area. But it was a really fantastic experience, man. Getting to hang out with him was really, really cool. I can't wait to get him down to the South Texas area.
It's amazing, man. I don't know. I feel like it's very nice on your hand. Toggling is it's not too hard. Yeah, it's just like a camera that like you want to shoot on the regular. Like right now, it's not even mine. Yeah. I want to keep it. Yeah. No, I feel like you can use this with anything. I would say. I feel like this camera is very versatile too. Yeah. Yeah, you could take it to studio. This type of space, wide open spots. Yeah, man. I feel like it's built for anything. Yeah.
No, but you gotta give us one shot the way I can pop it up. That's really it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give me the good.
You gotta give me the When I see it, I got you.
Overall, it was just really a fantastic time. These images, again, a lot of these you're going to be seeing are giving you what the medium format look is and what the benefit is. Again, the benefit isn't bokeh. Benefit is the ability to, no matter if you're wide open or stop down, you have that extra bit of compression that kind of brings the background into the foreground to make things feel larger than life. But yeah, it's great. The images are great. The autofocus is working great. The colors are great. The new film simulation is great. It's a great camera. And for a lot of people, this would be a great camera for them, but the price may be too goddamn high, to quote my mentor, Flossie Carter. And I think that's the thing to think about. This rig with the 55-1.7 and the GFX 100 II is going to be a little bit over 10 grand after taxes. And that is going to be a big roadblock for a lot of people. So I'm not going to recommend this to everybody, because for 90% of people, this won't be necessary. But the GFX format, as it becomes more affordable, right now in the gray market, you can get a GFX 50R, the original version. Hopefully they make a version 2. You can get that for, I believe I've seen it go as low as $1,750, and I've actually helped someone in San Antonio purchase that and a 53.5 combo kit for $1,900. You can get in a GFX pretty cheap, and the images are still going to blow it out of the water, and they're going to be pretty similar. This is it. It's very expensive, and that's going to hinder a lot of people. But if you're someone in the 10% of the world who needs this, who can afford this, and who would absolutely use this, this is a no-brainer. Sell your 100S, sell your 100, sell your 50S too. Grab this camera. And of course, listen, I'm telling you, the sauce is in the lens. Grab the lens. As always, take it light, but take it. I'll see you in the next one. But more than anything, this camera is more than full frame. See ya.